Welcome to our STEAMfest project. My name is Liat.
My name is Nava.
My name is Emma.
So the overall middle school driving question was, how can we make camps a more inclusive place to build connections? And the question that we were addressing our group specifically was, how can we help foster independence with campers who are easily overstimulated? So we created a fidget bracelet and an overstimulation bracelet. So what happens is, if a camper is feeling overstimulated, they can press a button and that will send a almost notification or a message to a different bracelet that would be held by the camp counselor. Or if the camper is feeling overstimulated and they have to move their body and their body is shaken a certain amount of time in a certain period of time, that sends the exact same notification. So we learned that kids can get overstimulated by many things like lights, sounds, crowded places, textures. So this kind of helped us develop our prototype a little bit. And originally we were just thinking about having the button, but after talking with you, we learned that not all campers are in control of their bodies when they're feeling overstimulated, which is why we added the shake component. So this is our code.
Okay, so our code here, it's like on start, it's basically just the base. Then here it programs, so once it's shaken, if it's shaken 60 times in a minute, then it will send the alert. Then here it says that if the motion has started or the button is pressed and it's in the minute range, then it will send camper help to the counselor, and then it will restart. And then here we added that after it sends camper help, it blinks so that if the counselor doesn't see when it says camper help, this can grab their attention. And here it's basically the programmed timer that it's a minute timer.
So we also created a fidget box that the counselor can bring to the camper.
So we made a fidget box. We made it like a backpack, so like the counselor or camper can like carry it around, like in case they do get overstimulated. Inside the box, we made 4 like DIY fidgets that are like a squishy, a fidget spinner, a seesaw, and then a pom-pom thingy.
So if we had more time, we would probably figure out how to make, so this code cannot travel very far, so this is kind of our prototype with these microbits. We would also try and make the bracelet a little more bracelety, but it can also be attached to, like, counselors have like lanyards, so it can also be attached to that, or it can go around like a loop in like a pants or something like that, so it doesn't need to be a bracelet. And it's adjustable for, like, you can change the code. The reason we made it 60 seconds is so that it doesn't go off if a camper is walking. And so right now she's shaking it to see. And so obviously this is like, we have it programmed, it says here, one says sent and the other says camper help, and then you get the same reaction if you press the button. Yeah. Thank you.
Questions, comments?
You guys are free to ask.
Yes.
Should we bring it around or something? So it can just come apart and then go on quickly. And you can make it like longer or shorter depending on your size. And then when it's pressed, it goes off.
And this, we kind of just made it with what we saw in the classroom. So we had like a balloon, kinetic sand, and these are like a wheel, and you can like spin it, and some pom-poms just for fun. So we just used what we saw out of class.
I'm gonna kick off here.
To kick these things off, hate to go back to Harry Potter last week, but there were a lot of people of all ages that needed to leave the show and go into quiet spaces because they were overstimulated by the lights and sounds of a Broadway show. And so I saw that there was a big need. I mean, I knew there was a big need already, but like I saw it in action, and I really think your idea of the bracelet is a good one because a lot of people, especially in the autism spectrum, move around a lot or shake or I guess flap their hands, and that will set off the bracelet, which sends over the counselor, and then they can decide what to do. I think it's a really good idea. As you said, I think if you had more time, you'd make it look more like a bracelet so it doesn't stick out and say, hey, I'm a kid with sensory issues. Even though probably everybody will know, it's better to like minimize that so that they don't have to announce it if they don't want to.
On the subject of the bag, obviously this is a concept and a prototype, but if you were gonna work upon this idea, I would suggest making it out of the body out of canvas, and straps definitely not out of braided yarn.
Yeah.
For the straps, I would probably go with some sort of padded strap. And if you wanted, you should probably put some straps on the lid.
I guess my question is more technical, like, who would get to have the bracelet? Like, would it be given to everybody, or, you know, because do you opt into it? I can imagine it's the kind of thing, it's like with the first thing, like everybody could benefit from it, and being able to have a way to communicate with your counselor that's nonverbal could be good for everyone. But I can imagine it could be, maybe the camp couldn't support so many like signals being sent, and you know, I don't know if it would overwhelm the system.
I think what we were thinking was that I know that, like, I go to Ramah, and I know that before you go there are a lot of like forms to fill out, and I know that the parents can tell the camp things about their kids. So I think we're kind of thinking that this was something that the parent and the kid could discuss if it was needed, and then they could inform the camp if they thought that was a good fit.
Nice. Sounds good.
And they do that even more with Tikvah campers than they do with regular campers, so.
I also thought it was a great idea that the bracelet doesn't go off after, you know, just a few seconds, because people are going to wave their hands and they are going to move around, and you don't want it to go off all the time. You want it to go off when necessary.
Thank you.